What's up, Monterey Peninsula? Mike Meza here with Sotheby's International Realty. Today, we're going to be going over 5 reasons why the housing market is not in trouble. If you're interested to see what's really going on, stay tuned.
High volume.
So, the first reason why this housing market is going to be okay here in the Monterey Peninsula is because mortgage lending standards have completely changed since the early 2000s. So back in the early 2000s, you can go to a mortgage broker and tell them, I make $1 million, when you really only make $100,000 a year, and they would qualify you for a loan that was equal to the amount of money that you earned. These were called stated income loans. You can go to the banker and lie about how much you earned, and they would be able to qualify you for a house in respect to the amount of money that you earned. Of course, there were other guidelines, but there were a lot less guidelines and standards that you would have to meet to be able to actually qualify for a loan. Back then, it was nearly impossible to not get a loan if you actually applied for one. And the reason being was there was just so much cash available for mortgages that the lending guidelines were so low, and it was really kind of a corrupt system. Here's a graph showing you how much money was available back then compared to how much is available now. The second reason why Monterey Peninsula housing market is going to be okay is because we haven't had this influx in price appreciation year over year. Back in the early 2000s, we had certain pockets in the peninsula that would appreciate 10-15% year over year. And over the past 5-7 years, we've had standard appreciation, some good years where we're up to 7%, but for the most part, we've been within 3 to 5%, which is really a normal market. Here's a graph showing you nationally what happened in the early 2000s compared to what's happened over the past 5 years. The third reason why the Monterey Peninsula housing market's going to be okay through these crazy times is because we don't have an influx of inventory like we did the last recession. We have this thing called month supply inventory. Month supply inventory is basically how long it's going to take you, how many months it's going to take you to sell all of the inventory you currently have on the market. Now, back in the early 2000s, the month supply of inventory was about 8-9 months supply of inventory. Our current market here in the Monterey Peninsula, our month supply of inventory is about 3-4 months. And to be honest with you, a lot of my agents and colleagues, we need more inventory. We need more good housing here in the Monterey Peninsula to be able to service all of those clients, especially the ones from the Silicon Valley that are going to want to be moving here and the ones that have wanted to move here. The fourth reason why our Monterey Peninsula housing market is going to be okay is because homes aren't too expensive compared to the wages that folks are earning. During the housing crisis of the early 2000s, home prices were high, wages earned were low, and interest rates were high as well. Now, I think we can all agree that housing prices are still pretty high, but on the other side of the coin, wages are up and interest rates are down. Interest rates are about 3.25% currently. What this does in return is it allows you more disposable income to be able to spend on other aspects of your life. You're no longer strapped down to making that mortgage payment and that mortgage payment only. Here's a graph showing the amount of wages earned that were going directly towards mortgages back in the early 2000s compared to how much is going towards your mortgage today. Fifth and final reason why the Monterey Peninsula housing market is going to be okay through this economic downturn is because folks are not cashed out on their equity. We all know someone back in the early 2000s who pulled some equity, bought another house, gained some equity, pulled some equity on that home, bought a new car, a Range Rover, a boat, another house, this, that, and the other, and got themselves into the hole of all of these mortgages and lost everything. Thankfully, after the last housing crisis, mortgage standards have been completely changed, and you can't just pull out cash to go buy another home and do this, that, and the other. You have to be smart. It has to be calculated. It has to be a good investment for not only you, but the bank as well. So we are not in that position. Here's a graph to show you how much equity was pulled out of homes back in the early 2000s compared to how much equity is actually pulled out of homes today. We're not in that position today, so even if home values were to drop, homeowners would still be okay because they have not necessarily pulled out all of their equity to be able to make different investments or, spend their money elsewhere. The bottom line, guys, is we're not in the same position that we were in the early 2000s in terms of the housing market, especially here in the Monterey Peninsula. We're going to be okay. Regardless if you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent even, there's going to be opportunity in this market. Certain people are going to go into fear mode like most of the nation has. But I personally feel that we're going to be okay through this all. If you have any questions about where we are headed, about where you stand in terms of the market, please reach out. Another thing, guys, please like, share this video, drop a comment. I would really appreciate it. It helps the algorithm and it helps my business grow. Talk to you soon.